You weren't being difficult. You were in survival mode. Have you ever been told you're being difficult, high maintenance, or hard to deal with? Maybe you've heard it from a partner, a family member, or even a friend. Those words sting, don't they? But here's something important to understand. You weren't being difficult. You were in survival mode. In this video, we'll explore the reasons behind the behavior people often label as difficult and show you how, in reality, it's just a defense mechanism born from past experiences. Here are 6 things you might recognize about yourself when you understand what survival mode really means. 1. Survival mode means keeping your guard up. When you're in survival mode, it's like you're always ready for battle. The world feels a little less safe, and every interaction can feel like a potential threat. If you've been hurt before, whether in relationships or other parts of your life, you've learned to keep your guard up. It's a protective instinct, not a personality flaw. You might have been called difficult because you hold back, challenge things that don't feel right, or question people's intentions. But in truth, you're just protecting yourself. You've built walls to keep from getting hurt again, and sometimes those walls can make you seem standoffish or unapproachable. What others might interpret as difficulty is, in reality, just the way you've learned to cope. 2. You've learned to self-sustain, not rely on others. Survival mode is often about self-sufficiency. If you've ever been let down or had to carry the weight of your own problems, you might have developed a deep sense of independence. Being dependent on others feels risky because you've been burned before. So when things go wrong, you don't turn to others for help. You handle it yourself. You might be labeled difficult because you refuse to ask for help or because you insist on taking on more than you can handle. But this isn't stubbornness. It's survival. You've been trained to take care of yourself, even if it means carrying a heavier load. But here's the thing. Just because you're capable of doing things on your own doesn't mean it's always the best way. And it doesn't make you difficult. It makes you resilient, but also a little lonely. 3. You've learned to expect disappointment. When you've experienced repeated disappointment or abandonment, it's easy to expect the worst. You've been let down by people, and now you assume that anyone who enters your life will eventually do the same. Survival mode means you lower your expectations to protect your heart. You might push people away before they have a chance to hurt you. Better to push them away first, you think, than to get too attached and face the pain of them leaving. Others might see this as defensiveness or difficulty, but what they don't see is that you're trying to avoid the hurt you know all too well. You're not being difficult. You're being cautious, trying to safeguard your heart. 4. You overthink everything. Survival mode often leads to overthinking. Every situation feels like a puzzle, and you're trying to find the most logical way to avoid a worst-case scenario. You've learned to anticipate problems before they arise because dealing with them head-on is much easier than dealing with the fallout later. It can drive others crazy, especially when you seem to be reading too much into things or second-guessing every move. But what they don't understand is that your mind is trying to predict every possible outcome in order to protect you from getting hurt. Overthinking might seem difficult to others, but for you, it's your brain's way of trying to manage uncertainty in a world that's felt unsafe. 5. You're just trying to maintain control. Control is often a big factor when you're in survival mode. You want to control your surroundings, your environment, and the people around you. It's not about being bossy or demanding. It's about feeling safe in your own space. The world outside your control feels unpredictable, and trying to keep things steady and within your grasp helps you feel secure. People might call you difficult when you try to dictate the terms of a situation, but you're not trying to dominate anyone. You're simply trying to maintain stability in a life that's often felt chaotic or out of control. When you've experienced unpredictability, control becomes a necessary tool for survival. 6. You don't trust easily, but that doesn't mean you don't want to. Perhaps the hardest part of survival mode is that it often leaves you with trust issues. If you've been betrayed, neglected, or misunderstood, trusting someone again feels like a monumental challenge. Others may think you're being difficult when you hesitate to open up or when you seem guarded, but trust is a precious thing, and once it's been broken, it's hard to give away freely. You're not choosing to be difficult. You're choosing to protect your heart from further damage. But here's the good news. Just because you don't trust easily doesn't mean you don't want to. Deep down, you desire connection, safety, and love, but your survival instincts make it hard to let down your guard.